I'm Mahdi Shaheeb Sher. My website is www.shaheeb.com. I think one of my interests in the world is science and the fact that I think that people are happy without science. I think that's one of my views. I think that people are genuinely happy without science. I think science has become maybe outdated. I think science has perhaps said goodbye to the world in some respect. And I think that we are looking at a different future now, where we're looking at advancement of mankind and humanity through other things like uh, behavior and kindness and kind behavior and kind of ethics and virtue and moral principles. I think those are things which have become more important than science. I think it's virtue above science. It's perhaps maybe religious teachings and religious ethics and moral ethics. And I do believe that moral ethics does have a greater role to play in the world than science. And I think that the world can advance better and further with moral ethics than through science. I think that's the potential of the world, that the world can advance through ethics and morals. I think that that's the way the world can benefit from the world. That's the way it can progress in the world. And I think that we should take some comfort in that. I think that human people are known for their human spirit, for their human virtue as humans. And I think as a human character, people do have virtue that supersedes science, supersedes technology or any other kind of consideration when it comes to the material environment. I think that the material environment is secondary in consideration to a person's character, his strength, his fortitude, his dignity, character, and his intelligence. And I think it's with these things that the world can advance. It's with moral ethics and virtue. It's perhaps with a person's own instincts as an individual rather than through science. I don't think it has to necessarily come from religion, but I think that it's perhaps a virtue in its human sense that is most important. I think that has to be distinguished from religion. That is the person's character, its human character and virtue and ethics that is most important, not necessarily anything to do with religion itself. So I think that when it comes to the dignity of man, how he clothes himself in the world, how he eats food, how he drinks water, how he able to walk in the world as man walks in the world, and how he's able to also do that in space as well, not just on Earth, but man is able to walk in space like he's able to walk on Earth. And no intelligent life is able to do that anywhere in the universe except mankind. So I think that is something very special about human people, about humans and about mankind, that man can walk in a special way on Earth and is also able to do it in space, which is very special and remarkable. There's no other life or intelligent life that can walk space, but I think when it comes to mankind, is able to walk in space as well, called a spacewalk perhaps, but is able to walk in space like it does on Earth, and that is absolutely remarkable. It's something very distinctive and special. And I think that despite there being no gravity in space, man can walk in space like there is gravity on Earth, and that's how he walks in space. So that's one of the distinctive characteristics of mankind. That he does have some dignity and virtue that can encompass a progress in the world, an advancement of civilization and the world with his dignity and virtue. And I think that with these moral ethics and with this character and virtue, there can be a brighter future for the world that is based on a person's instinct as an individual rather than science. I feel that people are happier without science. Science creates technology, it revolves around the material world. And if you look at the best that man has done with technology, it's four wheels with combustion and two wings with flight. That's the best that man has able to achieve with technology. And I think that isn't very advanced technology. If you think about combustion and automobiles, and the fact that that's four wheels. And if you look at flight, that has been invented by man with aircraft and perhaps other flight objects as well. If you look at the advancement of flight as a science and an invention of mankind, that's the most advanced invention that mankind has invented. And if you think that it involves just two wings that fly based on its aerodynamics and gliding, then it's as simple as animals flying like birds fly, and that's not very advanced science. It can be basic like animals. So I think it is quite basic in nature. Science, I think, has evolved to a very basic nature. It's not very advanced when you consider how the world can progress within itself. It can become more organized, more sophisticated by organizing itself, by organizing the people in the world and not its materials, but the people. I think if you organize people in the world through perhaps better government, more advanced government, through perhaps literacy in government. Perhaps if we have more advanced concepts of literacy in government, and if we have more advanced government, then perhaps humankind can evolve better. It can organize itself better. It can produce better, more efficiently. It can produce a better capacity, can have a better capacity and capability. And I think these things are more productive and efficient than perhaps the mere use and utility of science, which is kind of the behavior of material goods in the world and material objects and materials. It's materials and objects. And I think if you think of how the world has advanced with all of the billions of populations, the billions of the billions of footprints that have moved across the world and its surface, I think with all of those billions of people and movement and footprints, then the world is kind of in a very basic construct. It's at a very basic level of development. It's advanced perhaps at a 20% IQ of what the world could develop if it advanced in perhaps more efficient and dynamic ways, perhaps with the organization of intelligence and literacy and art and music, and maybe poetry. I think with art, music, and poetry, the world can advance maybe 800% IQ rather than 20% IQ, which is how the world is advancing with science. And I think that is the difference, that the world shouldn't have to subjugate itself to the idea that science is God in the world. I think what God is in the world is art and music and poetry. I think that's what we have as God's presence and God's creation in the world. We have things like art, poetry, and music. I think that is God's creation in the world. It's not so much science, which is a simple exercise of the material world around us. That's just moving nature about. It's playing with the fabric of nature, which could be tampering with life and creation. What is more important, I think, is with the substance of art, music, and poetry. And I think it's with these things that the world does have a higher capacity to develop, to advance, and to evolve as well. And especially as human people, we can become like Renaissance men. We can become like Renaissance people who are very intelligent by mind, poetic by heart, and perhaps supermen by physical composition. So I think that we can be supermen by biology. I think we can be supermen by our physical composition. I think we can be kind of poets in our hearts, and I think we can be intelligent with our mind. I think that with Renaissance men and the Renaissance man, I think it's about an evolved individual who is more composed and dynamic with his characteristics. Um, he's an artist and poet by heart. I think he's intelligent by mind, and he's a Superman by physical characteristics. So I think that that man does have to develop and evolve in the world. He has to be like a primate caveman in the world or a noble savage. It is something like a concept of a noble savage, which is probably the term that closest comes to mind when we describe the spirit of primate man and his instinct to evolve in a harsh climate or environment. I think man and his ability to adapt to the harsh world around us is what is the instinct that drives man to progress in the world, and it's what allows the world to advance with man progressing within the world. So I think that's how the world does advance. That's how civilization advances in the world. It's through man's raw instinct to advance in the world, and he does that with his instincts, with his ability as a human being, as a primate, or as some people term as a noble savage. And I think that we are, as creatures, a primate creature that is perhaps fearful of the world around us, but does, with extreme bravery and courage, is able to ascend the pivots and the pinnacles of obscurity and difficulty and challenge, and may obtain some kind of dignity in the face of those odds of impossibility, and with that rise to some kind of intelligence, some kind of a dignity of heart and physique as well, that is quite noble in nature. And I think that's my idea of the ideal state of man. Thank you very much. Thank you.